Hi everyone, I'm here to share and help you learn how to change your life and yourself sustainably, gradually, fundamentally, and systematically. As a lifelong Buddhist practitioner, meditation practitioner, and avid science enthusiast, I've combined an easy yet deeply transformative approach based on my personal journey, practice, and study. So it goes deeper than regular self-care. It is more scientific than mystical superstition or vague spirituality, yet spiritual enough to transform both your inner and outer world. What I'm going to share is quite powerful. Before I go into the full explanation, if you'd like to join this practice and transformative journey together, I also offer an online course and a weekly newsletter where I share practices, insights, and Buddhist philosophy from a practical perspective. Please go check the links in the caption. So, why do so many intelligent, capable, successful people still feel anxious, lonely, dissatisfied, or stuck? So we live in the most technologically advanced era, the most comfort-optimized civilization in human history. We have most access to information than ever, more convenience, more stimulation, more choice, instant entertainment, instant validation, instant distraction. AI that answers before we even finish thinking. Yet, globally, 1 in 8 people live with a mental disorder, according to WHO. Loneliness has been declared a public health crisis in multiple countries. Burnout is becoming normal. Addiction now includes not just substances, but scrolling, validation, productivity, and control. We don't even need to look outside or further. How about ourselves? How about yourself? How are you doing in your life? So what's happening? What's really happening around us and in us? The Buddha described 2,500 years ago, after his awakening and enlightenment, that he hesitated to teach. He described what he realized as deep, hard to see, subtle, going against the stream. He wondered whether beings delighting in attachment would understand. His hesitation was psychological realism, because the human mind does not naturally move toward truth. It moves toward comfort, what we want to believe, what we want to see. Our brains are good at deceiving us. When it comes to life, ourselves, spirituality, or anything related to our happiness and freedom, the question is not how much do you know? How much have you studied? How many degrees or certifications have you obtained? All those track records we tend to brag about on our resumes don't mean much. The real question is, are you truly happy? Are you peaceful right now? Tune in with your true self and notice how often you feel fulfilled, happy, safe, comfortable, joyful, and satisfied. Not temporary pleasant feelings. I'm talking about, when you purchase something you wanted, when you eat something from Michelin star restaurants, or when you post and people click likes on your content. I'm not talking about that. We are conditioned. Our life is conditioned. We are reactive. We are unaware of our own conditioning. So modern neuroscience confirms that most of our behavior is automated, driven by habit loops, emotional memory, nerve system conditioning. The problem is not intelligence. Like I said, it's not about how many books you've read or even written, how much information you can memorize. The problem is untrained awareness. Are you aware of your emotions and thoughts? Are you aware of where you're going in your life right now? Why are you rushing so much? Why are you always restless and busy? You go to work, then go to gym, then go home, watch entertaining or useful videos, spend some time with the family and friends, take care of your children or family members, go out to restaurants and popular bars and cafes, then work again, then sometimes take a vacation to beautiful destinations. Where are you going exactly? Where are you going with your life? Today, I want to give a practical framework. It's not religious, it's not motivational hype, a system. It's 3A framework for changing your life. If you truly want to change yourself and your life, you need to practice and do these 3 steps. Not on the surface level, but deep down, sincerely. For some, it may take a lifetime, like me. I am still on a journey of this process. For some, it may take just a couple of years, good years, or a few months. So, the 3A you need to practice is awareness, acceptance, alignment. This is the mechanism. Let's begin. Let me break this down and explain what it means and how we can incorporate it into daily life at the intersection of Buddhism and science. Step 1, awareness of the body. It's a foundation of change. This is the spine, core, basics of everything in this journey. If awareness is absent, nothing changes. Remember, everything begins here and comes back to here, awareness. The Buddha began the Satipatthana Sutta with contemplate the body as body. Not the soul, not metaphysics, not belief or prayer, body. The Buddha said, life is suffering. Why do you think we suffer in the first place? Because of this body, mind that we have inherently from the moment of our birth. It costs our lifetime. Think about it. To have this body and mind is to suffer. How we perceive the world is through these sense-based consciousnesses. Eyes, nose, ears, mouth, touch, and feeling. Through these sensory systems, we understand and build our own world, perceive the world. We look at things and there's a vision consciousness. We are aware of what we see. If there were no sensory system at all, do you think we would have the same concept and understanding of the world we have now? No, it's impossible. Buddha means enlightened one. So his name before enlightenment was Siddhartha Gautama, the crown prince of Shaka kingdom, born into royal luxury in ancient India around 2500 years ago. Whenever Siddhartha went outside the palace gates, he encountered real life, like real, genuine life. At each gate he stepped out of, there was some kind of reality that we have never overcome as human beings. So he saw sick people on the streets, dead bodies, old people bending their bodies just to walk. So aging, illness, death, our fundamental, inevitable suffering. And finally, at the north gate, he saw a monk, an ascetic practitioner. He asked his attendants, "Who is that man? What's he doing?" And the attendant replied, "Prince, he has renounced his life and is pursuing a spiritual journey." Like in a movie, like The Matrix, choosing between the blue pill and the red pill, Siddhartha chose his path. At age 29, he questioned the life of luxury and left behind his palace, power, and wealth. He secretly left at night and cut his hair without hesitation. He walked away from generational wealth, power, privilege, and comfort, not for fame, but to understand human suffering. He renounced it all overnight. So going back to why body awareness is important, and the first step is it's reconnecting to the basics. Our sense-based world through this body is the medium, the assignment, the gate to understanding the truth of our suffering, attachment, and delusions. Body sensations and the breath is the key. Everyone who is watching this is breathing, I believe, and I hope. Breath is part of our body. And it's the key to our awareness. We all have this, and it's a magical medium to reconnect with ourselves, our true selves. Meditation is the practice of moving attention from constant thinking to direct sensing, with receptivity to the body and the sensory world. In daily life, most of us live almost entirely inside thought, planning, remembering, anticipating, judging, replaying, predicting. We call this being productive or being alert, but neurologically, it keeps the brain in a mild but chronic threat posture. In modern life, our brain spends a significant amount of time in the default mode network, DMN. This network is active when we are ruminating about the past, worrying about the future, comparing ourselves to others, constructing identity narratives, me, my, mine, mentally rehearsing or defending ourselves. When the brain perceives this threat, chronic threat, whether it's real or imagined, it prioritizes survival. The amygdala activates, monkey mind activates, stress hormones rise, blood flow shifts away from the sensory cortex and toward areas responsible for rapid reaction. The body prepares to fight, flee, or freeze. In that state, sensing shuts down. What does it mean? When attention returns to sensation from thinking, activity in the amygdala decreases. The parasympathetic nerve system becomes more active. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for regulation, perceive, and decision-making, wise brain, re-engages. And finally, the brain shifts out of chronic threat mode. Mindfulness practices are associated with reduced DMN, overactivation, increased connectivity between prefrontal regions and emotional centers, improved emotional regulation, greater interoceptive awareness, the ability to sense internal bodily states. This is why meditation helps conditions like chronic pain by changing pain perception, not eliminating sensation, insomnia by calming hyperarousal, anxiety and stress by reducing reactivity, emotional dysregulation. In survival mode, choice disappears. So we don't choose wisely. We choose what is easy, fast, available. So what we do? Scrolling, snapping, numbing, escaping. Most of people think their problem is anxiety, anger, addiction, relationship conflict, but those are outcomes. The root of the problem is dysregulation. So awareness of breath and body sensation is regulation training. When you feel your breath, the parasympathetic nerve system activates. And like I said, the prefrontal cortex, wise brain, re-engages. Emotional reactivity decreases. So this is not spiritual. This is more biological. Your first daily practice should be 3 minutes, multiple times per day. Notice your breath. Notice body sensation. Try listening to what's happening in your body. Try giving your full attention to areas and parts of your body one at a time. You can start from nose, breath, and shoulder and stomach without fixing anything, without judging, commenting, or analyzing it. Just simply be aware of what's going on, what that feeling is, how you breathe. Just watch it. Be the observer. This is the beginning of reclaiming agency. Not a guru, not an algorithm, not productivity systems. It's you. It's all about you, your body, and your breath. Remember, the breath is the simplest doorway back to yourself. Step 2, awareness of mind. Now we go a little bit deeper. The Buddha repeatedly said, with feeling as condition, craving. You see something, you feel something, craving arises. If you've never seen ice cream or chocolate and never tasted them, do you think you'd crave those tastes? No, because we don't know they exist. That's how our suffering works through the mind. Through sense contact with objects, the mind comes into play, and we must start being aware of this mind and understanding how it works. According to the Buddha, the origin of suffering isn't external. It lies within our own minds. He identified 3 root causes, often called the 3 poisons or 3 unwholesome roots: tanha, craving or attachment, wanting things to be other than they are. Dosa, aversion or hatred, rejecting or resisting reality as it is. Then moha, delusion, not seeing clearly. It's called ignorance of the true nature of things. So these mental defilements shape our thoughts, speech, actions most of the times. Here's how it plays out. We know intellectually that we cannot escape aging or sickness, but we still pursue being forever young. How much do you spend on your cosmetics or skincare routine? We try our best to stay young desperately for as long as possible and compare ourselves to younger people or the models or the prettier face. When we notice wrinkles or weakened body or our energy fading, we suddenly feel insecure or depressed. Our self-esteem drops. We suffer because we crave pleasure and resist discomfort physically, mentally, and emotionally. We suffer because we chase permanence in a world that is always changing. We suffer because we mistake the impermanent, selfless nature of life for something fixed and personal. Only when we begin to see through these illusions can we soften our suffering and begin to truthfully free ourselves. In neuroscience, default mode network activates, right, through rumination, self-story, comparison, me, my, mine. In Buddhism, craving, aversion, delusion, same mechanism. It's just a different vocabulary. Awareness means notice this loop. What thought repeats in your mind? What story defines you? What insecurity drives you? You're not your thoughts. You're the awareness noticing them. You have to separate them, detach your emotion from being you, identifying you. The shift alone weakens identification. What is happening internally? So just practice noticing what thought repeats, what fear loops, what story defines you. You are awareness of them. This small shift changes everything. The radical difference was that Buddhism rejects an eternal soul, Atman. Instead, it teaches anatta, non-self. The five aggregates: body, feeling, perception, formations, consciousness, what we believe to be I, me, myself, consist of these five elements, quite scientifically disassembled and analyzed as a mechanism. So everything is conditioned and impermanent. And Buddha said liberation is not union with the self. It is the ending of craving and ignorance. And the Buddha also practiced extreme ascetic practices, then found the middle way. Step 3, awareness of patterns. Then try to find out what kind of patterns your mind has been developing. At this stage, you can see and understand how your trauma shaped your life and further understand how karma works, neurological patterns, and programming. So all types of habitual cycles of thinking, addiction, bodily reactions to external conditions and situations, events, and mental responses are based on the body-mind connection. How many of you find it hard to tolerate being alone? Maybe it could be the opposite. If you're always with somebody, it might be a different kind of tolerance that you have to deal with. But even when we are with somebody, we don't leave our mind to just chill, relax, and be free. There's no pause and breath. As soon as you don't know what to do next, you're home alone or you suddenly have a free time, you jump straight to TikTok, social media, scrolling group chats, emails, messages, or calling friends or family to hang for no particular reason. So doom scrolling, filling your weekends with constant social activities, going out again and again instead of having quiet solo time, alone time. We are heavily exposed to dopamine-driven environments and activities these days. This becomes a chronic mental and emotional habit loop for many modern people. The body and mind keep feeding each other, We all have different levels of stress and different coping mechanisms, including guilty pleasures and daily addictions, social media. I'm including social media, scrolling time, screen time, sugar, alcohol, or even relationships and substances. Find out what kind of patterns you have, especially negative, harmful, destructive engagements in your life. Most of them are also associated with trauma, unhealed memories, or experiences. Every repeated reaction plants seeds. Repetition strengthens them. Neuroplasticity says the same. Neurons that fire together wire together. So your personality is rehearsed, your anxiety is rehearsed, your anger is rehearsed, your avoidance is rehearsed, not your identity, your conditioning. Trauma is not just memory, it is a perception pattern. Psychologically, trauma means what happened inside you as a result of what happened outside. Everybody has trauma in this sense. Our upbringing shapes our worldview and social behavior. Often, labeling emotions helps us understand our traumatic mind and others. That being said, not having trauma in life as a conscious being is impossible. So I want to say we don't need to over-traumatize, overanalyze, weaponize, or excuse our trauma. It's very normal. It's very human. We perceive and contact the world through the six senses, and then some experiences leave stronger traces than others. It's an internal experience, so not everyone processes the exact same situation in the same way. The nervous system reacts before thought. Without awareness, karma continues automatically. It becomes autopilot. Karma means action, condition, momentum, not fate, not punishment, just momentum. It's another loop. And momentum can be interrupted, which is good news. Meditation and mindfulness practice are great for building the muscle of this entire process, awareness and resilience of our mind. Basically, it's the same process as building body muscle through training at the gym. More reps, more sets, then you gain the muscle on that spot. During meditation, you don't engage with the constant thoughts or emotions that rise up. You let them pass by and you return to observing your breath. That's how it works. That's how you practice resilience and awareness muscle. That simple act is the entire training. The real problem is the emotion because it comes up. The real problem is the reaction habit every time you engage with that emotion. When an emotion arises like a nature, anger, fear, sadness, anxiety, most of us immediately jump into stories, judgments, memories, assumptions, or catastrophizing. This automatic mental reaction is what keeps emotional suffering alive, getting stronger. When anger arises, we immediately think, oh, I don't like it. This is bad. Probably within 0.00001 seconds. So watch how you react to each condition in each moment and just return to observing the breath. Always just comes back. All you need to do is comes back to your breath or the body sensations. Switch your attention to the sensory system, not thinking. And ultimately, meditation helps us break this chain, the loop, emotional, habitual chain. In Buddhist psychology, this chain is described as a sense contact leading to feeling, and feeling leading to reaction, called tanha. We discussed how suffering happens, where suffering begins. It all starts from sense-based contact. And meditation gives us room to respond instead of react. We develop more awareness of each chance, each moment we have. So we create different life scenarios, different experiences, and finally different consequences. It creates a space between the feeling and the reaction and interrupts the automatic pattern that keeps emotional pain repeating. Write down any bad patterns you have been longing to change. See what the trigger is. when it happens, who or what kind of people are involved, what environment it's associated with, what emotions you feel, then how you usually react as a coping mechanism. Then I'll talk about how to change it in the next pillar. So pillar 2, awareness alone can feel overwhelming because we've never paid attention to inwardly. Most of people fail this stage. Being aware of your emotions, feelings, sensations, and being aware of how your mind works in each moment does not mean you will be free from suffering. It does not mean you will change right away, you'll become better, or that your life will be more peaceful. No. Now comes the part people resist: acceptance. Not passive resignation, not spiritual bypassing. Acceptance means truly seeing clearly and embracing what is with a fully open heart. Awareness practice and acceptance have nothing to do with your head or brain. It's more about your heart, your inner self, this part, bringing your attention to here. So Buddha emphasized it, seeing things as they are. The Buddha said, all experience is preceded by mind, led by mind, made by mind. Most suffering is not from what arises. It is from resisting what arises, labeling through our own biased, colored lens, adding and mixing it with our own judgments, reasoning, and interpretations. Accepting what is as it is means knowing there are no ultimate standards, definitions, or answers. Everything exists as it is. Say you're the tallest one in your house, but if you are with NBA players, you might be the shortest. Say you have the darkest skin color in your circle, close friends, but if you're in Uganda, rural Africa, or near Kilimanjaro in Kenya, you might not be the darkest. This world is filled with conceptual comparison, not absolute ultimate standard. They are always seem to be taller, shorter, better, worse, richer, poorer, dirtier, cleaner, because we compare in a conceptually built world, not ultimate world. Ultimately, everything is born and exists as it is in the universe. On top of this misunderstanding, there's another holdback in acceptance. You feel jealousy and then you judge yourself for jealousy. Now suffering doubles, layered. You feel grief, then you say, oh, I shouldn't feel this way. Now suffering compounds, right? Also, do not identify yourself with a temporary emotion. This is me. I did it again. Of course, I'm like this all the time. Acceptance says, this is anger, this is fear, it's grief. It's different from self-denial or rationalization. Psychology confirms naming emotion reduces amygdala activation. It restores regulation. Acceptance reduces secondary suffering. So acceptance breaks the illusion that emotions define you. We must accept who we are, how we are, what we are, fully and sincerely embrace it and welcome it without even a glimpse of hesitation, rejection, or denial. My ugliest, weakest sides, but to be more truthful and wise, there is no such thing as ugly, weak, or dirty. It just is. It only is. You must comfortably embrace who you authentically are. Then when you find significant wounds, pains, and sufferings that have been sitting inside you, deep inside, that you have been holding for life, you must sit down with them and have a genuine dialogue with yourself and examine them. Don't flip it closed like a book cover. Open that book. Open unhealed, unspoken stories within yourself, word by word, line by line. Read carefully like you actually care. It's okay to grieve, to feel upset or overwhelmed. Take time to digest and process it. It's needed. Then Buddhism is all about cause and effect. Nothing appears randomly. Understanding cause softens shame. Shame blocks change. Understanding opens change. But here we need a wise brain, wisdom. We must see the real causes, the real roots of suffering. The reason you're angry and disappointed at your parents, children, partner, friend, or boss is because you had expectations toward them to act and behave the way you want. The reason you are frustrated and depressed is because you had a craving, attachment, and expectation about how your life should work and how it should look. Find the real causes in yourself, in your suffering, because it's not from the external world. It must be inside. Society has always been this way, whether we notice it or not. Many people are upset after reading or watching the news, like learning about what Jeffrey Epstein did, for instance. But he was always Jeffrey Epstein the whole his life, right? We simply didn't know the details. When we didn't see it, we felt calmer because we didn't know. Only when we see it does the emotion arise, right? Your partner cheated on you, you didn't know, you were calmer, your relationship was okay, only until you found out, right? The society and people have always been out there as they are. The mountain is there, we look at it and feel good about it. The ocean is there, we see it and feel good, feel calm. But do the mountain or the ocean ever give us emotional feedback or reactions? No. It's out there, but it's us. There as it is, but it's us. The external world is a medium, a channel through which we study our minds. So look deeply within. Keep digging into why you're angry. What exactly are you upset about? Then fully admit it. Accept the real causes. Understand that. Only when we begin to see through these illusions can we soften our suffering and begin to truly free ourselves. And then very important part, the Buddha constantly taught us to see clearly. Not thinking clearly, but seeing clearly. Seeing clearly what? You observe experience exactly as it is. Sensations, thoughts, emotions, perceptions, arising and passing, You directly experience impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-self. Anatta, anicca, dukkha. This is the practice the Buddha pointed to in the Satipatthana Sutta, which he called direct path to liberation. Not chanting, not visualization, not complex techniques, just clear seeing, because all conditioned things are impermanent. Everything changes, everything moves. Suffering arises when we demand permanence from an impermanent world. Conditions change constantly. Clouds move, air travels, water evaporates, light shifts, temperature changes, and even the mind, our mind changes in milliseconds, depending on the conditions and situations. And then we try to control everything. Control is an illusion. Just fully accept impermanence. That's the truth. The Buddha's final instruction. Be islands unto yourselves. Not control everything, but take responsibility for your mind. Master your mind first. And acceptance reduces friction with the reality. In the Buddha's teaching, suffering, dukkha, is deeply tied to the nature of existence. We feel physical pain and pleasure because we have this body, like we discussed. We feel emotional and mental suffering because we have this mind, because we have this sense-based condition. We experience sense-driven distress. Buddha saw that we are composed of mind, consciousness, and mental factors, and body, matter, the 5 aggregates. What are those 5 aggregates? Form, the physical body or materiality, and then feelings, whether it's pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, the sensation, Then there's a perception, recognition, and interpretation, mental formation, sankhara, volitions, habits, intentions, thoughts. Then finally, consciousness, awareness, or knowing. So these 5 aggregates are constantly changing. Buddha found that because they are impermanent. They are subject to aging, illness, death, grief, and psychological distress. The four fundamental sufferings in Buddhism are birth, aging, sickness, and death. These universal, unavoidable experiences represent the inherent dissatisfaction, dukkha, dissatisfaction of human existence. Then there is association with the unpleasant, jobs we dislike, people we feel uncomfortable around, extreme weather we don't enjoy. Then there is a separation from the pleasant. We always have to say goodbye with the loved ones, beautiful things, delicious food. We have to finish this food. Honeymoon phase, vacations. At some point, we must separate from this, right? Then we suffer from not getting what we desire. Your job promotion, better salary, vacation days, new laptop or new iPhone, fancy car, ideal partners, the beauty, longevity. These are not guaranteed in our life. And ultimately, suffering arises from the 5 aggregates themselves. So we are in this loop of the basic sufferings, the fundamental sufferings in human life. The Buddhist term is a samsara. It is not only a physical cycle, but also an emotional and mental loop, traveling up and down between pleasant and unpleasant endlessly. If you are extremely happy right now, then what's waiting for you? Sadness on the other side. If you're happy, extremely satisfied with what you have right now, once you lose it, you'll be sad. In an impermanent world, even me, my, mine, and self are impermanent. They are not fixed concepts. This is anatta, non-self. But we think, we believe, maybe we want to believe and hope for permanence. And that causes a lot of suffering. Dukkha happens because we think there is an I, a my, a mine, a self that is fixed and permanent. We want what we have: fame, job titles, popularity, youthful energy, loved ones around us, connections, money, success, to last forever. But eventually we all die. The rich die, the poor die, this moment die, moment after moment. So accept impermanence. Truly accept that. Last pillar. Now comes to the strategic part. From this, we need a proactive doing. Not only understanding, doing, repeating with intentional effort. Whatever we repeatedly think, feel, and react to becomes the path our mind flows through. Imagine a river flowing down a mountain. It follows a particular path because the channel has already been carved out over time. If you try to redirect the river, it takes effort, time, and repetition to cut a new path, right? Your mind works exactly the same way. If your river has always flowed towards anger, insecurity, jealousy, fear, or abandonment, it'll continue to flow there because that is the established emotional channel. It's effortless, convenient, and natural to you. And psychology says the same thing. You're not choosing the pain consciously. Your nerve system seeks what feels familiar, even if it hurts, because familiarity equals safety to the survival brain. Alignment means reframing, reconditioning, rewiring. This is the right effort. So step 1, reframe meaning identity. Many people feel like their self-worth depends on job title, achievements, or productivity. But from a Buddhist perspective, this is a misunderstanding of who we are. You're not your resume. You're not your failure or your win. You're not even your social roles. Any social roles that you play as a parent, uncle, boss, employee, or teacher, YouTuber, whatever, name it. You're not your anger, depression, or anxiety. You're not your emotions. These things change. All of these titles, jobs, emotions, followers on social media come and go. What remains is your awareness, your heart, your intention, your inner path. So reframe your true identity. Forget your ethnicity, race, family history, background, your name, or even nicknames. Your skills, forget about that. However you identified and try to prove and validate your existence in society, however you try to fit into conceptual boxes and labels, there's nothing holding you. Be free. Rethink who you are. Then there is only pure awareness. Stay awake, stay aware of what it means to be aware. It's not being the emotion or becoming the thought you have right now. You're just aware of them. So instead of I'm anxious, think or say anxiety is arising. Instead of oh, I'm lucky, say I'm replaying familiar conditioning. Identity shift, reduce rigidity. This is what Buddhism means by non-self. Not nihilism, but flexibility. You're not broken. You are just patterned. This is reframing. This reframing activates cognitive flexibility. The problem is the more you try to control, the more fragile you become because you will eventually notice what you cannot control. So don't try to control. Relax. Loosen your tightened chest, forehead. Loosen your fist. Life does not obey you. The laws of the universe do not obey you. People do not behave predictably. So bodies age, plans collapse. Just reframe how you see the world, how you observe the phenomena in your life, how you understand the events and situations in your life. Reframe how you interpret, define, and understand these situations and phenomena. Wisdom is knowing what is yours to influence. Let life flow, let it move, let it choose its path. What you can influence is your own speech, your own effort, your intention, your thoughts, and your action. Step 2, rewire through repetition. If karma is like waves repeatedly hitting the shore, reinforcing grooves and directions, then trauma is the way the shoreline was shaped to begin with. Karma describes how patterns repeat over time. Pattern meaning action. Trauma describes why the pattern exists in the first place. If you keep attracting the same kind of pain, it's not the universe or God punishing you. It's not your fate. It's your conditioning repeating itself. So in Buddhism, this is mental formation, habits of mind. They are shaped intentionally and unintentionally, internally and through external conditions, surroundings and environment, family, culture, trauma, society, repeated emotional patterns. Every thought, every emotional reaction, every intentional action plants a seed. Repetition perfumes it. Let me explain a little more detail. Yogacara Buddhism was developed to support meditation and mental training, offering a systemic analysis of how the mind functions on the Mahayana path, Mahayana Buddhism. So every action, when we act, think, or feel, plants seeds. This is karmic potential. Karma simply means action, so action plants seeds. Over time, habitual tendencies from through a process called vasana or perfuming. Perfuming means just as a clothes observe the sense of incense it is stored with, alaya vijnana, the stored consciousness, often referred to as the eighth consciousness, is perfumed by our actions, retaining the imprint of those actions long after they occur. There are 8 consciousnesses. The first 6 are sense-based consciousnesses: sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mental objects. When sense organs contact the external world, consciousness arises, right? The 7th consciousness is the mind, the ego. So we see someone with short hair and wide shoulders, and the 7th consciousness would say immediately and concludes, oh, that's a man, that's attractive, Then the ego adds liking, disliking, pleasant or unpleasant, all types of judgments. Oh, I like him, I don't like it. This is where opinions, karma, and ego functions. And the 8th consciousness, alaya vijnana, stores all of this information. The 6th consciousness connect us with the world. Then the mind, the ego, comes into play with the opinions and thoughts, judgments. This is how Buddhism understands patterns, our karmic loops with consciousnesses. The fusion of emotion and identity is where karma becomes heavy. So how do we shift emotional habits? The first step and the final step is awareness, especially of negative patterns we want to be free from, because we don't want to plant seed. Many people struggle because we are not trained to look inward. Some emotions are so subtle that we miss them completely until they explode or obviously influence our life without our conscious intention. So we have to build this power of awareness, the range of awareness. And neuroplasticity, the brain reorganizes based on repetition too. Yogacara, seeds are perfumed by repetition, right? Change does not happen through force. It happens through consistency. And that's what neuroscience found out with the neuroplasticity. Daily micro practices, here's what you do every time you are triggered. When you notice your emotion heating up, discomfort rising, shoulders tensing, you can feel it. You can feel bodily reaction too. Pause before reacting. Delay impulse by 10 seconds. Name the emotion before speaking. Just acknowledge it. Feel your body before replying to an email, answering questions, or speaking out loud. Maybe have some breath before scrolling. Small interruptions, repeated daily, change trajectory. Every interruption weakens old pathways. Every conscious repetition strengthens new ones. If you notice destructive, unhelpful, unhealthy patterns and want to change them, the first step is to loosen them through awareness, right? Awareness and acceptance. So notice your emotional and behavioral patterns. If helpful, map them out like we did in the beginning. Identify the trigger and the aftermath, your usual reactions or coping mechanisms. Whether you shut down and walk away or fight back, argue to prove that you're right, you're going to rewire the system. So rewrite the scenario from now on. Build your support mechanisms around it. How do you want to respond next time for a more peaceful life? How would a mature, grounded, wise version of yourself handle the same situation? Think about that and map out. Include these into your daily routines. Strengthen daily awareness, at least one time of meditation, awareness of breath or body sensation, and then place useful resources around you. It could be a good book, audio, YouTube content you can access easily to calm your nerve system and return to a grounded mind quickly when you need it, whenever you need it. And change external triggers or conditions as much as possible. Minimize chaos to prevent incidents. This is prevention, not avoidance or hiding. For instance, if you are experiencing severe emotional damage from a violent home, violent relationship, or bullying or discrimination constantly, you cannot rely solely on this awareness and acceptance practice. You have to change the situation. You have to change actual physical conditioning. Socially, physically, and environmentally, you must adjust the conditions, right? So mental well-being is interconnected with the social well-being and environmental well-being. What that means, you cannot heal a nerve system in an unsafe environment. As I explained earlier, when the brain perceives threat, the entire nerve system shifts into fight or flight mode. So you cannot meditate away poverty, racism, or loneliness. Healing and changing life or self-care must happen inside people and around them. This is why recovery cannot be an individual responsibility alone. Community is not optional. Even in Buddhism, we have a strong Sangha culture until today. It is therapeutic infrastructure. Social effort and support systems are essential. Now, here's an important question. So there are 4 dimensions required for holistic mental well-being, which includes biological, psychological, social environment, and physical. What do you think we can change within these four dimensions? Genes and hormones are part of biology. We cannot easily change those, right? How about the psychological system? We explore that it is possible to change, and we are practicing it, right? And we are proving it through lived experience. How about the social environment? If you choose to step away from certain environments or relationships, sometimes, yes, you can, 100%. That takes willpower and strategy. You just need to plan it in a strategic way, maybe. How about physical elements? Your body, nature, environment, surrounding, neighbors. Those can also change to some degree. How positive and hopeful is that? Except for biological conditions, many parts of our life conditions are changeable if we truly work on them. If you want to change conditions within your control, change them, because cause and effects always works. So back to rewiring. Do not avoid unpleasant feelings or moments. Face them, welcome them, sit with them. You're holding emotions and thoughts from experiences that have already passed. You're holding on to something that has already died, as if it were still alive. The Buddha explained this with the 2 arrows. The first arrow is unavoidable. Pain, loss, rejection, disappointment, it already happened. Life happens, right? And our habitual system judges or misunderstands. That's the first arrow. But the second arrow is optional. The second arrow is what we create through our own ignorance, delusional mindset. Then we replay it, blame ourselves, blame others, imagine alternative options, alternative futures, what ifs, right? Reimagine the scenes, zoom in and out countless times. And that's the second arrow. Most of our suffering comes from the second arrow. We keep stretching the wound again. So at least know to stop hurting yourself with the second, third, fourth arrows. Learn from mistakes, then move on with the lesson. And how do you move on? Just sit with it, welcome it, face it, learn it. And rewiring a mental habit is like water driplets cracking a rock. One drop does nothing. But over time, with the consistency, dedication, and effort, even stone changes. Meditation doesn't stop pain. It stops confusion about pain. Awareness. Over time, clarity changes how suffering operates in your life until the wise mind knows there is nothing to suffer against. So build awareness. Stay with awareness. Step 3, align with the values. Now you learned about your mind, habits, patterns. Still, we use thinking. We live as what we think we need. want and value. How do you know if you really want what you think you want? And before we get into that, do we need to ask this in the first place? Yes. Because wrong decisions can make your future self regretful and frustrated. This is deeply related to values. You thought you wanted a job for a successful life. Worked hard, studied 4 to 5 years, then once you got it, you realized it wasn't what you wanted. Or you were obsessed with someone for years because you had this obsessive concept, value of marriage or partnership. Pushed to get married and settle down, then after 1 year, you file for divorce and say, I no longer love this person. Look how much valuable lifetime and energy can be wasted. Knowing what you truly value matters because it shapes your action, your direction, not only with major decisions, but also with the minor daily decisions too. It's your inner compass. Sometimes what you call your dream is just borrowed desire, borrowed from culture, from parents, from social media, from comparison. In Buddhism, desire is also conditioned. It arises from contact and feeling. You see something, you feel something, you label it as I want. But have you examined it closely? Have you truly asked your inner self if that's what you value for lifetime or even right now? Do you want success or approval? Do you want a relationship or not to feel alone? Do you want a lifestyle, certain lifestyle, or do you want to look like you matter, you belong? Craving is clever. It disguises insecurity as ambition. Do I know my value? What do I truly value? There is too much information in the world. Much of it is distraction. Sometimes it strengthens the ego, the sense of I. So imagine you're completely alone in this world. No one is judging you, no one is watching you. And ask yourself, what experiences made you feel this is why I exist? What environments make you feel most like yourself? One value I encourage you to center first is self-love. In reality, the most constant companion you have is yourself, your body, your mind, your heart, your spirit. And this is the one relationship that carries you through your entire life. And that's why we are talking about this topic right now today. So learning to rely less on others for validation, stability, or identity is not isolation. It's a stability. The Buddha repeatedly warned about wrong companionship and praised wise solitude. And we need a good solitude in order to build this and follow these 3 pillars. In the Dhammapada, he says it is better to walk alone than to walk with a fool. In other discourses, he encourages companionship with the wise and also the courage to stand alone rather than be shaped by harmful influence. There is also a well-known image attributed to the Buddha, walk like a lion. Lion stays alone, right? Not startled by every sound. This is not arrogance, it's inner confidence. When you have your own value system and resilience and awareness, not being constantly shaken by approval, rejection, or noise from others, you become authentic, true self. So be your own best friend. Master understanding yourself, your mind and body, your value, your philosophy. And this is a process of training mind, your speech and action, so that wisdom naturally blossoms. In modern terms, it is a system of inner leadership, cultivating integrity, awareness, and freedom amidst chaos. Most people chase outcomes, money, status, validation, but the deeper question is, what quality do you want to embody? Integrity, patience, courage, compassion. Alignment means behavior matches values. When behavior matches values, inner conflict reduces. peace increases, happiness becomes stable, not dependent on ice cream or luxury car. Pleasure is conditional, pleasure is dependent, pleasure is impermanent. Happiness aligned with values is stable. So ask, what kind of person do I want to become? Not like, what do I want to have? So step 4, one of the main reasons we want to be free from suffering is that we want to be better people for others as well, for our society, for our family, our significant others, our loved ones, and community. Relationships are emotion-based bonds. Ironically, suffering in relationships usually doesn't start with the hatred or cruelty. It starts with expectations, especially with the loved ones, close ones, right? This person has to be a certain way. Our relationship has to look a certain way. You should understand me without me explaining. You should make me feel safe, loved, fulfilled. The moment love turns into need, suffering enters, suffering begins, right? Because the other person is no longer allowed to be who they are. And now in this process, we all need to be who we are truly, right? And then let them be themselves too. It's a responsibility, mutual responsibility. They become responsible for stabilizing your inner world once you become needy. And that is an impossible job. Each person has their own universe, conditioning, fears, wounds, desires, and limits, just like you are. You do, right? When we cross that boundary, trying to control, shape, fix, or manage another person so we can feel okay, we are no longer loving wisely. We are clinging, attachment. I love you because you give me something. But the real true love is you genuinely wish for their happiness, even when it doesn't serve your needs. Parents may unconsciously cling to children because children give meaning, motivation, responsibility, pride, or a sense of purpose they couldn't create earlier life. And partners may cling because the relationship provides affection, validation, intimacy, or emotional stability they haven't learned to give themselves. There is nothing immoral about this, it's a human, but when love is built on need, fear follows, right? Fear of loss, fear of change, fear of disappointment. The Buddha taught people to stop possessing, even ideas, even concepts, thoughts, right? So in your relationship, before giving advice, check, is this truly for their well-being or is it a way to calm my own anxiety? Before reacting, ask, am I responding out of care or out of fear of losing control? With the children, loving without clinging means you guide, protect, support, but you don't live through them. You don't turn them into your unfinished dreams. You don't demand they become who you never got to be. You genuinely wish for their happiness, not your version of success. With parents, loving without clinging means you respect them as they are, not as you wish they had been. You can care without needing approval. You can forgive without erasing boundaries. With partners, loving without clinging means you choose them not because they complete you, but because you meet each other freely. You meet each other as who you are. You don't love them because they feel a whole. You love them because you appreciate who they are. So wise love is very spacious. It allows growth even when uncomfortable for you. It listens more than it controls. It supports more than it directs. It respects more than it demands. So practice this into relationship, not only internal growth, but external transition. Ask, what does this person genuinely need right now? Can I offer it without losing myself? Practice it in the dynamics. Love without clinging removes fear, and when fear leaves, love becomes what it was meant to be. When you regulate internally, relationships shift naturally. Also, when you stop overgiving, people respond differently. When you stop chasing validation, you become calmer. The dynamics change because internal alignment reorganizes external reality. We often have to deal with the difficult conversations and managing relationships. This is inspired by Plum Village's communication practice. They use the metaphor of watering flowers and seeds. This seeds means different, by the way. When we water something, it grows, right? So what you water becomes something appreciative and valuable in our lives. It encourages us to see flowers in others and in ourselves too. Before or during any difficult conversation, we must water the flower first. Practice that. Why does it matter? Appreciation activates empathy and safety in both people and for yourself. It's also a way of rewiring your path in your neuron. It lowers defensiveness and opens listening centers in the brain. Have you seen any ugly flowers? Flowers are just flowers, right? In different colors, shades, and shapes. Our world is like a garden filled with all sorts of different flowers. So try to see flowers in yourself, good things, good sides in yourself, and in others too. Everyone has a good side. Then water them. Watering flowers means having an appreciative mind. You care. You really appreciate that. This approach helps in having difficult conversations, and in general, you have a different approach and different view of relationships. And if you want to go further, there is a mindful listening, meaning we don't add a judgmental or analytical comment in our head. Instead, we pay attention to what the other person is saying as it is. So being compassionate and empathetic to the speaker while you're listening. Meditation is not branding. It is preserving human agency. Changing your life is not about becoming someone else overnight. It is about awareness, seeing clearly, acceptance, embracing the truth, and alignment, acting intentionally and repeatedly, disciplined repetition. Let me end where we began. The Buddha hesitated to teach because what he discovered was against the stream. Changing your life is against the stream. You're not stuck, you're conditioned. Conditioning can change. The breath you take has moved through forest, oceans, and even other beings. You're not isolated. We are all interconnected. So ask yourself, what kind of breath are you breathing? Rushed, fearful, distracted, or aware? Peace is not mystical. It is trained. Freedom is not abstract. It is disciplined awareness. Happiness is not pleasure. It is alignment. You're your own refuge. Start small, repeat daily, trust slow growth, and watch who you become. And again, if you want to join our practice, if you want to walk this path together, please check out the link in the caption. We have online course and also weekly newsletter. Thanks for watching. Metta to you. Bye.